talking points are easy, but when you have to actually put it into practice, the propagators of these progressive ideas are silent. This sad, tragic story has so many social implications, but unfortunately, you've probably never heard it.
Ma'am, I have a question. So Pfizer has the biggest criminal fine in history. So how is it anti-science to not trust them? If they're on record bribing physicians and fudging with test results, $2.3 billion fine. So how is it anti-science to simply question them? Can you explain that, please?
So I appreciate your comment. I'd like to finish my presentation, and you can hold your questions.
I mean, it's not going to be answered. I have 4 questions. I have four questions that didn't get answered. What the hell? What are you doing?
No, please.
Oh my God.
Kids, you hate gender?
Yeah!
Then get the brand new androgynous action person, G.I. Pack!
Cool!
G.I. Pack gets rid of all the fun and excitement of G.I. Joes and replaces it with self-righteousness and anger.
This dino won't tell me its pronouns. Take this, Nazi!
G.I. Pack comes with awesome accessories, like a commuter bike, a sword latte, and a cell phone with instant outrage self-reaction. Pro-life people should die!
Awesome!
Boy girls, here comes G.I. Pack's greatest foe!
Marriage is between a man and a woman.
Mike Pence!
Mike Pence and the evil right-wingers will stop at nothing to destroy G.I. Pack, and it's up to you to fight back!
Right side of history! I'm dead!
Now you know your gender identity, and knowing is half the battle. Get G.I. Pack today!
How'd that make you feel? Giving a child his freedom.
Felt good.
You have been at this for 12 years.
My country 'tis of thee.
Why are you doing it?
Because God's children are not for sale. It is the fastest growing international crime network that the world has ever seen.
For Homeland Security, you know we can't go off rescuing Honduran kids in Colombia.
This job tears you to pieces. And this is my one chance to put those pieces back together.
And yet somehow, you have failed to bring me one real-world lead.
It's over, Tim. Close up and come back home.
So you quit your job and you go and rescue those kids.
South of that river is all rebel territory. No one goes in.
What if this was your daughter?
So, she's gone.
Hear that? That's the sound of freedom.
Sound of Freedom is one of those films that can legitimately change this world. So we want to ignite a fire in audiences and open their eyes to the dark reality of millions of children that need our help. Let's make this film a historic event and the start, the end of child trafficking. Theaters across this country are already selling out. Pre-order your tickets today, and you can send the message that God's children are no longer for sale.
Welcome to Truth or Talk. I'm your host, Verstine Henry. You can find more about me at truthertalk.com. That was a trailer for the upcoming movie Sound of Freedom. Nobody pays me to endorse their trailer. I only talk about movies I think you should see if you would like to help make a difference or stay informed about a particular subject. Their goal is to get 2 million people to watch this movie opening weekend, in honor of the 2 million plus children who are trafficked each year. This movie is based on a true story. We have all been divided from our loved ones by the media's lies, especially these past few years. Now, I don't want to spoil the movie, but the deep, dark secret this movie exposes is the underpinning of the majority of our world leaders, celebrities, and anyone else who holds a high power position on the planet. This movie is going to be a floodgate for truth. And when people find out the dark truth about what is really going on, these crimes against humanity are going to unite the world. I will be reporting more on this soon. Okay, so anyway, today's show is titled Behind the Gay Agenda. Rebranded from homosexuality, transgenderism, and sexual abuse. I know, the title is very long. I shortened the title and I made it more relatable. I did this show with the late Axe Truth. I miss him so much. He was a light in this world, and he is dearly, dearly missed. This show is a 3-part series. This episode, in particular, is in 2 parts, and I will re-release the next 2 parts over the next couple of weeks. If you're watching this show live, join me in the comment section and let's chat. If you're watching the show after the live show, please leave your thoughts in the comment section. I really would like to know what you think. I hope you enjoy the show, and until next time, peace, truth, and love. Mwah.
Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome. Fremde, étranger, stranger. Glücklich zu sehen, just wie enchanté. Happy to see you, bleibe reste stay. Willkommen, bienvenue. Welcome im cabaret, au cabaret, to cabaret.
There's no genders. You can be male, female, any or none.
It's really not that hard, you guys. There's only 63 pronouns.
63 pronouns.
Trans, hetero, gay, mostly non-binary, queer, tax-exempt, asexual, celiac.
You had these very young kids, they must have been like 9-10 years old, at a quote drag show where they were putting money in the underwear of this, and that is totally inappropriate. That is not something that children should be exposed to.
Literacy program, the goal is to get kids excited about books, and particularly books like gender fluidity and or about gender fluidity, and giving kids queer role models.
All right, does anybody in this room know how to twerk? And then you just move your bum up and down like that, and that's twerking.
Readings take place at libraries, museums, and other cultural centers in more than 30 cities across the country. Some are small affairs, but many, like the one in Washington, D.C., play to full houses.
It's just really been obvious that there was a need for this in our community.
The library partnered with the D.C. chapter of Drag Queen Story Hour to bring the family-friendly events to the nation's capital.
We are grooming the new generation of Americans.
Octavia's the devious diva you could ever think of.
Hello, my name is Nemes. I am 9 years old, and I am a drag princess named Octavia.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
Exactly what I am right now.
But like, what is that?
A drag queen, a LGBTQ activist, and blah blah.
Who are you to me? Who am I supposed to be? Not exactly sure anymore. Where's this going to? Can I follow through? Or just follow you for a while? Does anyone ever get this right? I feel no love.
A Virginia school system has suspended circulation of 2 books from their library after a mother expressed concern about their explicit material.
Both of these books include pedophilia. There are children in the audience here. Do not interrupt my time.
So is this the fault of the school board? How much responsibility does the librarian have in this?
Well, that's what I don't know the answer to, okay? And I would like to get those answers. I don't know how this process works. I don't know who makes these decisions. So I would like to know that. Who puts the materials in our children's school libraries? Is it coming from some committee on high? Is it down to a person? I don't think this is a situation where it's the librarian per se, because one of the first things I did when I found out that the book was in my child's library was I checked a couple of the other schools that are geographically near me to see if it was in those libraries, and it is. So you know, it's not a single librarian who did this. No, it's probably bigger.
And finally, new rule: if something about the human race is changing at a previously unprecedented rate, we have to at least discuss it. Broken down over time, the LGBT population of America seems to be roughly doubling every generation. According to a recent Gallup poll, less than 1% of Americans born before 1946, that's Joe Biden's generation, identify that way. 2.6% of boomers do, 4.2% of Gen X, 10.5% of millennials, and 20.8% of Gen Z. Which means if we follow this trajectory, we will all be gay in 2054.
I personally believe that anyone who collaborates in an intrusion into a developing child's body and mind is guilty of child abuse, a crime against humanity.
I'm happy for LGBT folks that we now live in an age where they can live their authentic lives openly. And we should always be mindful of respecting and protecting. But someone needs to say it. Not everything's about you.
Starting now.
Okay, all right. So I want to talk about why this is important to me. I've always kind of felt, especially since, for me, I felt all of the division in our country was wrapping up around 2016 and, you know, before the election. And I've always wanted to be a kind of mediator for the people that are in the gay community and between the people that, you know, are perceived as staunchly religious, because I feel like I could see both sides. But because the left got so crazy where you couldn't even question anything, where you couldn't even have a conversation, I felt pushed, you know, to the right for safety, for my own safety, because I felt like I couldn't even mediate. And I felt like, so bring up the whole thing about, I wanted to get maybe like the right to see where a lot of gay people were coming from, because most of my friends in high school were gay. I went to Hollywood High, which is a magnet school. I didn't live in Hollywood. I grew up in the hood, but I was bused to a program school where it was an art school. So that was a place too where a lot of teenagers at the time, they felt very comfortable going there, and a lot of people did have questions of whether they were gay or not, and they thought, you know, a lot of people went to that school because they felt that they could be around people that were like them, that were questioning themselves, that, you know, they would be accepted. And a lot of my friends were terrified of their parents finding out, like terrified. I mean, to the point where I had this guy that rode my bus, and he literally his mom would drop him off at the bus stop, and he'd be like, "Bye, mama." And then as soon as she like pulled away, he'd be like, "Oh, girl, oh my God." Like, you know, like he had like a split. He had to like,
It was two people, yeah.
yeah, like two people. He was a nice guy, but he was just like, you know, a lot of my friends were like that. They were, you know, they really had to lead these double lives of acting straight. I had one friend that he had me rolling because he'd just be like, yeah, like I'd be hanging out with guys in my neighborhood. And then a girl would walk by and he'd be like, oh yeah, look at that ass. It is so juicy, you know, but he's like, I'm not really attracted to that. But he had to like pretend that he was like, yeah, like, you know, and for a while too, you know, a lot of our families are broken, including mine. And those kids I grew up with, they were my family. They are my family.
Yeah.
And I was very protective of them, and I love them a lot. And I hear when people say being gay is a choice. I don't think that that's true. So I kind of wanted to relay that to people that just think that people like decide to be gay for shits and giggles, where I've seen people struggle with it, where a lot of anybody that I've known growing up, they didn't want to be gay. It wasn't trendy. I had a friend at 16 years old. She had a sex change operation. And this is before it was trendy, before it was like, I probably knew like I had another kid that was a trans vestite, but this is the only person I knew. I knew like one person that was a transsexual at the time. And her mom took her to Mexico to have it done. And then she wanted to, you know, and she wasn't trying to push anything on anybody. All she wanted to do was use a bathroom without getting the shit beat out of her, you know? And she actually had a lawsuit against the school, and she sued the school and won the right after she got her sex change in Mexico to use the women's restroom. And it wasn't even like a big deal.
But did she look like a female?
Now she does more so.
But then you can still get it.
Yeah, I don't think she even had hormone therapy. She was taking hormones afterwards, but this is going to be a little graphic, so you might not want kids to listen to if you're with us too, but she has to still, last time I hooked up was right before I moved to Austin. You still have to do things to keep that hole open because it's not natural. Physically, it's not biologically, it's not natural. There are things that you have to do. You know, you're on hormones. And I think these hormones actually made her schizophrenic. I think that the hormones really messed her up.
Well, what happens is once the testicles go, okay, which is for a male, think about you, no matter what it is, we're still talking about a man. You know, our hormones comes from our testicles, you know, testosterone, everything. That's the main hormone for men and your sexual desires and everything. When that's taken away, and now you're taking a female hormone, which is estrogen, you don't have a sexual feeling at all. They just, you don't have that desire because you can't, and you're a blank. It's really unfortunate what happens to them. And this is why they go crazy, because you have no feeling of, you may be attracted to someone, but there's nothing about sex that you're going to do that's really going to stimulate you other than, anal sex will, but they don't have that desire for it. And then, you know, castration. And then after that, you know, when they do the rest of it, it does a lot to them. And if you don't, that's why you used to do old school trans used to be, you had to go through multiple years of psychiatric evaluation. You have to be on hormone therapy for so long, and then you have to be released from a doctor. a signature release to get the sex change operation. Now they don't do any of those procedures no more.
Yeah, that's great. And they're pushing it on kids. So let me just wrap up here because I have beef with synthetic hormones in general, period. Like I don't even do birth control. There are natural ways to do it. I'm not going to get into this in this interview.
Yeah.
But I was on birth control. It made me a fucking crazy person. I had to stop. I wasn't on for long.
It's pharmaceuticals. Of course not. You need to stop.
Yeah, but but that's not even for women. Like I wouldn't even recommend synthetic hormones for women for birth control. None of that shit. It's all bad. It all catches up with you. It all leads to different problems. They're carcinogenic. It leads to mental imbalances. It's not good.
Yeah.
It messes with your metabolism. So if there are people out there that are trying to lose weight and they've done everything, you're like, God, I've done everything. I've tried like 100 different diets and I work 8 hours a day. Your hormones are not work but work out 8 hours a day. Your hormones are probably out of whack.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have to, if you've taken birth control for years, you're gonna have to figure out a way to detox that out of your system. That's just a side note. Maybe I can have somebody on, we can talk about that later. I know I have the habit of getting on tangents and stuff, but none of the synthetic hormones that anybody takes, male or female, straight or trans, or none of it's good for you.
Yeah.
And also just the fact that you are dependent on anything to function normally, any type of medicine to function normally, it's not good because you can be controlled. There are people that probably weren't able to access their hormones and any other medications, during COVID in different countries. A lot of people died. So it's just not it's just not good to get in the habit of being dependent on that stuff for your body.
Yeah.
So another thing that I noticed, so I watched that movie. Did you see the documentary What is a Woman? Matt Walsh. And I thought it was really, really good. I just feel like they're still not going deep enough with this issue. Mm-hmm. And I'm not judging that. I'm not I appreciate the work. I'm not so I wanted to also have the show because I wanted to talk about a different angle, and they kind of come from the perspective that, oh, they're just making this choice and they're crazy and stuff. But there's a huge elephant in the room, I think, that nobody really talks about with gay people and trans people. What I've noticed is a huge link between homosexuality, transgenderism, and sexual abuse and sexual trauma.
Oh yeah, well, all of it comes from sexual trauma. As far as my research and when I looked into it, and all of it comes from sexual trauma. That's how it starts. It's somewhere in it, whether they remember it or don't remember it. It could have happened anytime between the ages when you can't remember, from newborn to 4, maybe 5. It can happen anytime in between that time period where you won't recollect that, where those sexual triggers were turned on. And sexual triggers, when they're turned on at certain times, and it can cause that person to be gay because of depending on what, or that female to be promiscuous or gay herself because of sexual trauma, and that's never talked about. It's not talked about ever. Gay people try to, and I used to be like that. I used to deny it. My brother said that was why I was gay. He said, and when he said that to me, he said, I believe that's why you was gay, because of what happened to you when you was young. And I said, no, I don't think so. I believe God just made me this way. This was when I said, I don't want to give the rapist credit because I don't think nothing's wrong with me. And it was the denial because I felt like I was given, because I was always, besides my sexual preference, I hate to say sexual preference, it's almost like how you prefer it. Who would prefer that? It's not normal, but because of what was turned on and what you found you liked because of what happened to you, I kind of didn't want to give it that until I researched it and found out, yes, that is what happens. And a lot of people don't want to go there. And the pedophiles are great. They're glad that the gays don't want to accept that could be the case. And 90% of the gay men I know And I've always asked him, and then one of my best friend, I just met up with him. I asked him about it. He said, well, I don't think I was. I don't remember. He just remembered he had he kissed his first kiss was with a male at 10 years old, his best friend. And I said, so did you find him attractive? He said, yeah, I did. I said, so don't you think, I said, so it was some reason you was gay, you found the same sex attractive, but you knew that wasn't what you're supposed to do. And then as we peel back the layers, come to find out his mother's brother, who's dead, used to keep him as a baby and used to dress him up in these suits and keep and his mom would have to beg him to give the baby back to her, and he would keep my friend with him all the time. And I said, it's a possibility he did something to you when you were a toddler and he doesn't remember it, and that's why he found men attractive. Those triggers was turned on between the ages of newborn and 4. So he didn't, and we just came to that because his mom even said it when he finally told his mom he was gay, and she said, I know. She said it's been hard, and I knew something because it was, I shouldn't have let my brother, and I love my brother, but I shouldn't have let him keep you. I used to have to argue with him to get you back. Say, give me my baby, give me my baby. My brother was gay. Not to say gay people are pedophiles, but this is what happened. And that's what, so sexual trauma, I think you're right about that. They don't go into that. So go ahead.
And well, I was in denial of it too for a while, just because I was so protective of my friends that were gay.
Yeah.
But as I got older, I started thinking about all my friends that were gay, and every single one of them, maybe except a couple that I haven't asked, had all been sexually abused.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I know a lot of straight people that have been sexually abused too. And I don't really know what makes a person become gay or straight after that. But the fact is also another thing. It's like sexual abuse is so prolific. It's so widespread. It's more common nowadays, I feel, from a lot of people that I know than not.
Of course. It is.
It's and I think, when you don't talk about it, and when you and I have a friend. Do you ever watch Different Strokes? Those 80 shows, and like Webster. So they have all these, like, on a very special episode of Different Strokes.
Friday.
Hey, Leslie, don't go with him.
An important Mr. Belvedere.
He might try to put his hands on him or something. What do you mean, Wes? That's what he did to me.
Now, we urge families, children, and parents alike to watch both of these informative episodes and then to discuss the problem presented, which is of deep concern to all of us.
Hey, Mr. Bicycle Man! Hey, Mr. Bicycle Man!
Arnold, the man's name is Mr. Hort.
Right. Hey, Mr. Bicycle Man!
That show was very unsettling for me. I couldn't watch it. I didn't want to be around it. I asked him, don't write me in, please write me out of most of this.
Give me a bite, please, please. Don't just stand there. Help me grovel. Well, Daddy, I guess he could keep his bike downstairs in the garage.
Yeah, Dad, and there's plenty of safe places to ride in the park. And as far as straight people go, they're everywhere. We've got one living in our apartment.
It was unsettling because I had myself gone through that. And watching it happening on the show, it was like reliving that all over again. I was reliving that whole thing all over again.
Maybe we'd better not let your dad know about the bike. In fact, maybe it would be best if you didn't even mention, that you came back here and that I gave you all this ice cream before dinner. Why don't we just make it our little secret, huh?
You know something, Mr. Horton? You're sneaky.
Well, I was 12 years old, and my publicist, he basically talked me into doing things that I didn't really want to do. I hadn't had sex before, and he kind of convinced me that this was the right thing to do, and kind of told me, like, don't tell your parents, and he bought me a bicycle. He always kept doing things for me that I didn't quite really understand.
So we kind of seduced
I started at 11, Yeah, he seduced me, and he started at 11 years old to 12. And then finally one day, at 12 years old, some encounter with Dana Plato happened, and I realized that that was the right thing and what he did was the wrong thing. And when he came to my house the next day, I attacked him. My mother knew right away what had happened, and my mother went after him. My dad stopped him, and my dad took his side and then didn't believe me.
Wait.
And,
Your dad,
from
wait.
that-
Your dad took his side. He didn't believe his own son.
Yeah, because no, my dad, the guy had did it. Predators are very smart. He set my father up to know that I was going to say something eventually, and he got in my father's ear and made my father, told him that I was going to say something, and that it was all a lie. And so when I had told my father told my mom that I was lying, and my mom knew I wasn't lying because she could see in her child's face, because it happened to her when she was growing up, that I wasn't lying, and I just attacked the guy. And then after that, the guy stalked me for like 2 years, and that's when they had no stalking laws. Everywhere I went, that guy was still there. But see, the problem that we have to do is we have to figure out, this bill was shot down in 2006, and we've got to get this bill passed. We have to make people realize that children need to be safe on these sets, and they're not safe because parents want their kids to be in show business so bad that they're willing to do anything, and they'll send them off with strange people.
Todd,
and that's something that you just shouldn't do. When a child is molested, for me, I can't speak for every other child, but when I was molested, it made me feel shame, degradation, made me feel less than average. I mean, I spent from 12 to 13 years old trying to figure out whether I was homosexual or not. I didn't know because I liked the feeling, but I didn't know that was wrong. So if I can keep any child from having to go through what I went through by having these people get these background checks before you become a publicist, before you become a manager, you have to have these background checks before you get around these minors in show business, because it's like show business is an open field to child molesters.
I hear.
Or Webster, right? And they talk about, and they talk about molestation, but it was always like I had a friend that told me, she was like, yeah, it was always like I watched these shows, and she was like, it was happening to me, but it was always like a friend or of the family, or like a stranger,
a coach, or
most
like that.
Yeah, a coach, or like the teacher or something. And that happens too.
Yeah.
But a majority of people are molested by a family member.
Yeah.
Somebody close to them.
Mm-hmm.
So there were never, she was like, I didn't really know how to deal with that because it was happening to me. And there were a lot of people that, I mean, she goes, yeah, it was happening to me. And I just didn't really know what to do because I didn't feel like I can tell my family. Or there's also another thing that happens. I had another friend who's molested by a family member, and they went to their parents and they basically blamed them, and they were Christian. Mm-hmm. So there's this like whole, like, I understand how it's been manufactured to make people that are gay and on the left hate religion and Christianity, because you have a lot of Bible thumping people that, are child molesters, and then they blame the victims.
Oh, I'm glad you went straight to where I got the information for that one. But I mean, I've been talking about that on my show, and blasting these, and in the way I deliver it when it comes to Christianity and Christians, because I read the Bible. I'm reading the Bible now. I have a Bible app on my phone, but I don't go to church, and I will not go into a demonic church. All these churches are demonic. Majority of them, 90, I'm gonna say 98% of them. Religion has been used. I'm actually gonna be doing something tomorrow on my show. I got with this guy who was a former Satanist.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Well, by the time this show goes up, you can give me that show, and I'll put it in the links.
Okay.
So I'm making notes as you speak. So go on.
Okay. Yeah, he's a former Satanist, and he talks about how he hated religion and he hated God. He didn't believe in God. He was a Satanist, and how he was driven that way because of and these so-called Christians who persecute and use the Bible and the Word of God as a tool to condemn and as a weapon. And those people are not Christians. And those people need to be ignored. See, I don't have anything for people who I'm gonna go ahead and say his name because I think he's a religious grifter, like Bryson Gray, and he probably is an undercover homosexual himself. When you start using, because going after gays and using Christianity and saying and going to that scripture of what's an abomination, when that was changed, because they don't know that was changed. That was changed prior to 1946. It wasn't about when a man lies with a male. I'll go ahead and read it to you. And okay, in the German Bibles in the 1800s, from in Leviticus 18:22, the translation of the word in the English is said, "A man shall not lie with a man, for it's an abomination." That's how they translated it in the English version. But the German version said, "A man shall not lie with young boys as it does with a woman, for it's an abomination." That is what it originally said. It was transformed into that to point the finger at the homosexuals and not the pedophile that creates the homosexuals. Because back then, back in the days where, in the Greek, they having sex with young boys was like that was a thing that they did. It was just what it was.
What was it? A pederasty? No, it was called a
pederasty.
They went
Pederasty,
right?
That's exactly what it's called.
Okay.
So the pedophile and the pedophile church, the church has been compromised a long time ago. The devil has, and that's what Satan comes in at. He goes in, and Satan knows the Bible good. And they pose as priests and preachers and things and teach the word. And they say, okay, well, who can we use as a scapegoat? Let's demonize and point to the gays, and let's do that. And it's low. And I always look at Christians who do that and preachers that's low hanging fruit, because
plus they won't call them out.
Yeah, because I said
that's just another way to not actually get them talking about pedophilia.
Exactly. So because
and they can infiltrate society that way. Go on.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole reason. It's this. You use them as a smoke screen. Let's talk about that, and never ever talk about raping kids. Like I said it in my and I've had a lot of Christians write me emails and say, "Ax, thank you for saying it like that. I never ever heard it like that or thought about that." I said, "How many times have you went into a church and heard the preacher preach from the pulpit how an abomination it is to rape children?" Because if someone, I don't care what, I can stand in front of any religious leader, priest, I don't give a fuck who they are, and look them dead in their face. Yes, I'm gay, but guess what? I don't rape kids. See. Yeah. Okay, let's go there. See, that shuts it down right there. I don't rape kids. That's what happened to me. Now let's talk about that. Since you want, see, and when you do that, it shuts it up. It ends it, because that's where it starts. Nothing is worse than raping a child. Nothing. Because hey, I may find men sexually attracted to men, and I love a man, that's because what happened to me, and that's what created, because I didn't choose this. Gay is something no one would choose. It's not natural. You wouldn't choose it. That's why we cover it up so long, and overcompensate by having a lot of girlfriends like I did, had sex with a lot of girls like I did,
You were a player? You were a straight player?
Compensating. And that's, and to try to, because you don't want to be that, but the only choice you have to make in the matter of of gay is choosing to go with whom you are and accepting that. Because, they always say, well, you can pray it away and all that kind of stuff. I did that. I went to church, I got saved and all that, had the girlfriend, did the whole nine, prayed on it, gave it to God and asked him, told him I'm going to do everything I can to keep her, and when I would see a man walking towards me in the mall or something, I would look another way just so I wouldn't lust and look at him. When a man come on the screen on the television, look at another way. But the thing is, if you know the Bible or God, God knows your heart. He sees you looking the other way. You're just repressing. You're not doing anything. It's still it's within you. So, I say that to say this right here. I saw this right here. It says, "Gay." The advice to Christians to LGBT Christians or people who struggle with Christianity and faith, to understand that as difficult as it is, you have to try. It's grace. God gives us all grace, and He says, "Love one another." That's what Jesus says. Above all things, love one another, and you have to love that condemning Christian that wants to throw the Bible at you and use that, but don't take it. Don't receive. You don't have to receive that in a way to where you're going to hate God and you're going to hate the Bible and hate the church. They're the ones who are working counter to what the word says, because they're the ones who are going to go to hell, as they tell you're going to hell because the Bible teaches you to love. They're not loving. They're not showing grace and compassion. So that's when you move from that. You don't take that in. You don't have to take the hits of that. See, I don't take that. I don't play that game. That's why when I interviewed Dr. Stella Emanuel, she's an evangelist, she has her opinion about homosexuality, but that had nothing to do. She knew what I was and everything like that. She came right in. We had a good time. Probably one of the best interviews she's ever had the most fun with me. And, but it wasn't no judgment, because that wasn't what she was supposed to do. You judge the spirit by the spirit,
Wow, that's really deep.
So I think, I think that's what we, and because, and then you have to also look at it too. Not all Christians even feel that way. It's just that the media put these Bible thumpers on there. The very few, there's a minority of them that thinks like that and throw the Bible at them and all that kind of crap. And it's and then what gays do, they embrace being satanic or dress up like the devil in rebellion. Not that they're Satanists, they do it in rebellion.
Well, there are also different tiers to Satanism. When I was growing up, I had a couple friends that were Satanists, and I think that certain tiers they're sacrificing stuff, and then certain like lower level tiers, they don't make it that far. They just kind of have a philosophy, do it that will, but they're not gonna take it there. But then I think this whole thing too, why there's such hatred of the religious, and or religious people, and why they are kind of getting a lot of people that are I would say the leftist ideology, something anyway, to stray away from that, is because there's a betrayal. Like I was saying earlier, it's like the people that made them that way, and then they go and they seek refuge, they seek sanctuary, and then they're betrayed. And it's like, okay, well, I can see why. We're like, well, fuck you. And then you're ostracized. Like a lot of my friends, they were ostracized. They were afraid to tell their families that they were gay. And then you have the elitists, that they create this culture, right, of like, what is gay, right? Gay is, and I'm not saying this is what it is, but this is what they created, this culture of clubbing and disco, right? Started a lot of times with the disco culture, where people actually were allowed to, like in the 70s, come into the cities. Like a lot of gay men were married, they can come to the cities and do whatever they want. They're doing lots of drugs, and it's funny that the word means gay means happy, but there's so much sadness in the gay community. There's so much. Lots of physical abuse, lots of meth use, lots of
drug abuse,
lots of cheating.
It comes from sexual trauma.
Yeah.
All of that. See, it's a ripple effect. It's a ripple effect. It's like, sexual trauma affects you in so many ways. That's why you see, not only because you're thinking about it, you have gays, and then you have the over-sexualized females and males. Okay, so you have that. We never talk about that. The hoes, the thoughts. You see a lot of that. And I can tell you, if you go through there and you start to ask each one of them, were they molested or as a kid? They were. That's what creates that. It ain't like, I don't think a young lady who had never been molested as a kid, grew up and then say, well, I think I want to be a hoe. I think I want to be
Yeah.
just be
Yeah.
overly sexual. They're overly sexual because they were triggered and was having sex that's why you see people and that you see they're trying to, and the whole point of all this gay thing, I guess we're going to steer this back to this gay agenda. Gay homosexuality, sexual orientation, the key word is sex. Children do not have sex. I don't know any man who have a child want their daughter having sex at 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, not even 16. If I had a daughter, I'd be wanting to lock her down. No, it's not.
Well, you know what? Honestly,
okay.
A lot of my friends were having sex.
I mean, yeah,
13.
Yeah, about 13. You probably, if
12, 13 years old. Yeah.
they were having sex that early, I guarantee you they were molested prior to. See, it wasn't something that you just, to go full Monty with it like that. So you have to know something about it in order to do it. So talking about it and having sexual conversations and pointing to genitalia and talking about it in a sexual way opens it up for the pedophile to be able to come in and have their way with children. Because we're talking about LGBT, we're talking about inclusivity. We're talking about, because there's no such thing as a gay child. Because there's such thing as a gay.
I was born that way.
Yeah. No such thing as that. Because that means in order to have a sexual orientation, you have to have had sex. Children don't have sex and children can't consent to sex. Once we go there, it cuts it off. If that child is gay before puberty, that child has had sex. Something sexual happened to that child. And you got to figure out, well, who did it, when and why and what, and all that. And a lot of people they don't even think about it that way. And I tweeted that out. I said, this is crazy that we even having this conversation, but we're having this conversation because the pedophile wants us to have this conversation, wants these conversations had around children. So children can be saying, well, what's gay? What is gay?
Yeah.
What is gay? What is gay? Gay is sex. It ain't, and they want to say, no, it's love. No, we all love each other. I love, a child loves their uncle. That's how I had to figure out what happened to me without therapy when my sister had kids. I had to look at her kids at the age of when something happened to me and study them and look at them and say, And I looked and I said, they don't know nothing about sex. So that's how I could understand you didn't cause what happened to you. You didn't know how to explain what happened to you because you didn't know what sex was. You didn't even know what was happening to you. It just kept happening.
Are you feeling helpless in the face of globalist havoc? Do you feel powerless against their sadistic shenanigans? Well, don't despair because Truth or Talk is here to equip you with the empowering information you need to regain control of your life. Our mission is to provide you with thought-provoking and humorous commentary on issues that matter the most. We have no sacred cow to defend, nor corporate doctrines to promote. Since 2012, Truth or Talk has produced over 100 podcasts featuring interviews with some of the biggest names in independent media, activism, and truth-seeking. Despite being deplatformed and shadow banned from several social media channels in 2022, we are committed to rebuilding. However, we need your support to help keep the truth flowing. You can show your appreciation by purchasing our t-shirts, making a donation, or becoming an ongoing subscriber to our exclusive member section. With your help, we can keep exposing lies, shedding light on the truth, and providing you with the compelling information you need to take back your freedom, sanity, and break free from the shackles of control. But that's not all. You can also help spread the word by sharing our content on social media with your friends and family. Our collective efforts can prevent them from achieving their goal. Show your support for Truth or Talk today and take back control of your life. Trust us, you won't regret it. Thank you. Until next time. Peace. Peace, truth, and love.
What has this world come to? It's come to a world where drag kids actually exist.
And people do ketamine on a couch.
Common sense should tell you that when you reverse the course of raging hormones, there's going to be problems. We do know it hinders the development of bone density, which is kind of important if you like having a skeleton. Fertility and the ability to have an orgasm seem also to be affected. This isn't just a lifestyle decision, it's medical. Weighing trade-offs is not bigotry.
When I was a teacher, a lot of the kids, they would be embarrassed if their parents like kissed them on the mouth, or if they saw a movie and somebody would kiss, they'd be like, ew. Like kids aren't even thinking about that stuff.
No, they're not. So they
they think it's gross. They're like, it freaks them out.
Yeah.
They're not even about it. They're like, I don't, God, I lost my train of thought. You go, because I wanted to interject, but I don't want to interrupt you.
You're right. I know exactly what you're saying. The kids they go, ew, they don't, because they're not thinking about sex. I always tell this story about my nephew because he was a star, sportsman. He was like an All-American. He was good in all sports. And he loved sports. He loves to watch it. He knew the scoring. He watched all sports, basketball, football, college, pro, and he was good at it, but he was very small, but he was good at sports. And when he was 10 years old, he came home and somebody had kicked him in at lunch or something. And he said, "Mom, I got kicked in my vagina." Someone kicked me in my vagina. And he was 10. And his mother said, okay, Eris, said that we would call my brother, his name's Eris. She said, you need to talk to your son. And that I said, what, that's because all he knew was what he did down, what was down there was what he used the bathroom with. And he kept with underwear, things like penis, vagina, none of that kind of thing. So there was nothing sexual, even when I came around him, I was his favorite uncle, and I brought my partner around. All he saw was me and another guy that was my friend, just like how he has boys that friends, and we all played basketball together and we did things together as guys. It was nothing. He didn't look at us and say, "Are they together sexually?" No, but we didn't know any of that. There was nothing for a child to know or to discuss or to explain to him, because he's not in the bedroom. See, this gay agenda thing is so ridiculous, because it's like, why do we have to know what you're doing in your bedroom? And that's what a lot of people on the right
tolerance. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's like we don't have to, when they put that Chia Pet in there as White House secretary. What they said about her is that she's the first Black immigrant, openly gay, LGBTQ. And I'm going like, and everyone going like, why do we have to know what she's doing in the bedroom? Just first Black. You could just say first Black press secretary. Why do we have to know that she's a lesbian, that she's carpet munching? We don't even know that. What's the point? It's like, and they have made this gay thing into, okay, you come into the room with a sign, "I'm gay." Who does that? Nobody does that. If someone figures it out or wondering, I always, my friend used to say, I don't really think that's something I need to explain to somebody unless we want to have sex. What do you, why are you wondering unless you want to have sex? He said,
you're normal. You're a normal person. Other than that, like, you know what I mean. Like, and then it's weird. It's like now people are kind of doing it in a sense where they're seeking attention because they've been programmed that way. And I just, I wanted to bring up too, and we can go back to what you're talking about, but I had a thought about talking about. Have you seen the documentary Animals Like Us?
Animals Like Us. No, I haven't seen that.
It's a documentary about gay animals, and but it kind of makes me wonder. Have you seen the whole Alex Jones thing? They turned the freaking frogs gay. I just want to. I'm gonna tie this into what we're talking about. I'm not going on too much.
No, I haven't seen it, but explain it.
So he has this rant, and people use this clip where he's like, "Don't drink the water. They turn the freaking frogs gay."
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the freaking frogs gay. Do you understand that? Turn the freaking frogs gay. Serious crap. Gay. Frogs freaking frogs. It's not funny. I'm going to say it real slow for you. Gay. Frogs. Won't you fight for your life?
Right? But he was talking about, there was actually a scientist at Berkeley who was Black, who worked for Syngenta, and Syngenta hired him. He was a biologist to test their waters and do research in the animals in the area. And the runoff from their chemicals was actually atrazine. The atrazine in the water was actually turning the frogs gay. And he had, and when they were straight before, and then they have this atrazine in their systems, and then they were actually attracted to frogs of the same sex, and we're trying to mate with frogs of the same sex.
Yes, now we turn to the story of a University of California scientist who discovered that a popular herbicide may have harmful effects on the endocrine system. Tyrone Hayes was first hired in 1997 by a company that later became agribusiness giant Syngenta. They asked him to study their product, atrazine, a pesticide that is applied to more than half the corn crops in the United States and widely used on golf courses and Christmas tree farms. But after Hayes found results that the manufacturer did not expect, that atrazine causes sexual abnormalities in frogs and could cause the same problems for humans, Syngenta refused to allow him to publish his work. This was the start of an epic feud between the scientist and the corporation.
Now a new article in the New Yorker magazine uses court documents from a class action lawsuit against Syngenta to show how it sought to prevent the Environmental Protection Agency from banning the profitable chemical, which is already banned by the European Union. To start with, the company's public relations team drafted a list of 4 goals. Reporter Rachel Aviv writes, quote, the first was, quote, discredit Hayes. In a spiral-bound notebook, Syngenta's communications manager, Sherry Ford, who referred to Hayes by his initials, wrote that the company could prevent citing of TH data by revealing him as non-credible. He was a frequent topic of conversation at company meetings. Syngenta looked for ways to exploit Hayes' faults, problems. If TH involved in scandal, Enviros will drop him, Ford wrote. Well, for more, we're joined by TH himself. That's right, Tyrone Hayes is with us, professor of integrative biology at the University of California, Berkeley, joining us from the campus TV station right now in Berkeley. Welcome to Democracy Now! Can you tell us what happened to you, how you were originally tied to Syngenta, the research you did, and what prevented you from originally publishing it?
Well, here at Berkeley, I was a new assistant professor. I was already studying the effects of hormones and the effects of chemicals that interfere with hormones on amphibian development. And I was approached by the manufacturer and asked to study the effects of atrazine, the herbicide, on frogs. And after I discovered that it interfered with male development and caused males to turn into females to develop eggs, the company tried to prevent me from publishing and from discussing that work with other scientists outside of their panel.
What was the process within the company as you raised your findings? What was their immediate reaction to what you had come across?
Well, initially they seemed sort of supportive. We designed more studies, we designed more analysis, and they encouraged me to do more analysis. But as the further analysis just supported the original finding, they became less interested in moving forward very quickly. And eventually they moved to asking me to manipulate data or to misrepresent data. And ultimately they told me I could not publish or could not talk about the data outside of their closed panel.
And Professor Hayes, talk about exactly what you found. What were the abnormalities you found in frogs, the gender-bending nature of this drug, atrazine?
Well, initially we found that the larynx or the voice box in exposed males didn't grow properly. And this was an indication that the male hormone testosterone was not being produced at appropriate levels. And eventually we found that not only were these males demasculized or chemically castrated, but they also were starting to develop ovaries or starting to develop eggs. And eventually we discovered that these males didn't breed properly, that some of the males actually completely turned into females. So we had genetic males that were laying eggs and reproducing as females. And now we're starting to show that some of these males actually show, I guess, what we call homosexual behavior. They actually prefer to mate with other males.
And this phenomenon is also, I think, in birds and some other animals where there's been environmental pollutions or toxins that have changed the hormones. So, but animals like us, they don't talk about it. They make the argument that because animals are gay, that it's a natural thing. That's why I asked you. But now with this information coming out, I think that maybe in addition to sexual trauma, there also could be another factor that if you're being poisoned or having something in your system that is disrupting your hormones, it can possibly affect your sexuality. And and these people went after the scientists. They went after him. They tried to kill him. They went after his career. Before this whole like political divide, the New Yorker actually did a story on him, and so did Democracy Now. He's a Black guy. And his name is Jerome. Is it Jerome Hayes? Something Hayes. I can't think of his name. Anyway, I think that, getting back to this agenda, I think sexual trauma definitely is number one. And then, what if there are people that are into bestiality that are messing with animals? Could that affect them and make them? I don't know for sure. I'm just throwing this out there, right?
Yeah.
Could it make them, if they're being sodomized or raped, or, that chakra, the lower chakra is being messed with, could it make them, gay, confused, mess with their hormones? When you do have any kind of trauma too, your body stores it. You have hormones that change in your body. Could it be a hormonal thing after the trauma? I don't know. These are just things I'm throwing out there, but I think there are many different layers, and I think there is an agenda. And then I can even take it back to like Aldous Huxley. Have you ever read Brave New World?
Brave New World?
Yeah.
No, I haven't read that.
So Brave New World, just to sum it up, one of the main things is there's no monogamy. Everybody has sex with each other. They don't, and their catchphrase is everyone belongs to everyone else, right? And that you're selfish if you want to have a monogamous relationship. They look at monogamy as something repulsive and primitive. And because they're evolved and they're these future people, like they'll just go out and they just have orgies like all the time. And and I just saw they did a mini series on it. It was like 9 episodes, and I just watched it last week, and it was fun. It was great. I mean, they strayed away a lot from the main story, but they talk about this, and these elitists, these people that they actually and they're all on drugs too. They all take this pill called Soma, so they don't have to deal with their emotions. And they take they literally just popping pills all the time. So they can't deal with anything, they can't think, and they live in this society that physically looks beautiful on the outside, and then they all have sex. They're empty, they're very vapid, but this is this whole thing. So I think there is also, in addition to the, I think the whole agenda is not just the sexual molestation, but it's also the chemical poisoning. And then there's another theories too with the vaccines, that like the vaccines are made on human, they're cultivated. A lot of vaccines are cultivated on aborted fetal tissue.
Yeah.
So there are two main lines, and I know that they've developed more, but the MCR5 are male cells of a baby that was aborted like 70 years ago, and they replicate these cells and make vaccines out of them. And then there's another WI, the Worcester Institute, WI38 female cells. What effect would that have? So there's a theory, it hasn't been proven yet, but maybe too, that if you're injecting a pregnant mom with these cell lines, and there are people that have proven that it does integrate into a person's DNA.
Yeah.
Could that be a factor? In addition, I don't know. I'm not asking you to answer it. I'm just throwing this out there for anybody that's listening, that they're trying to attack us from all angles. I think the bigger plan is to get the families to be broken, to get us to not be able to have intimate connections with people, because when you can't intimately connect to other people and form bonds with people,
you won't have children.
You won't have children, and you're more likely to bow down to the state, the government, because that's your family. That's who you have faith in. So
anything to tear down society. And that's what, the gay agenda is part of that. That's part of anything. It's about it's about population control. I saw this straight guy had put that on there. He said, this is all about population control. You know, it's straight up that because gay people can't procreate as much as they try to put the propaganda out there, like all these gay people getting surrogates and having, wanting to have a baby and have a family, the Pete Buttigieg's of the world and the Dave Rubins that's doing their little thing. No, that's just a small number of gays that's going to tie themselves down with trying to raise a kid. A lot of gays that are gay, they like being single, gay, and being able to go where they want to go and not have to worry about getting a babysitter. And that's one thing about, and then having more expendable income than straight people and things like that. So,
Oh, what do they call it? Dinks? Double incomes, no kids?
yeah,
Dinks, right?
double income, no kids. It's like,
Yeah.
well, it's like, it's the agenda is all about not only population control, but also to destroy society, tear up the tradition, to go after traditionalism, to take away, traditional family values. I didn't realize how much I had to now, because at one point I used to hear that traditional family values as a liberal, and we're like, what is that? And just and then realizing it as I woke up. Of course, we have to fight for that and continue to promote traditionalism and traditional family values because gay people are ridiculous. How do you think you got here? You didn't get here from,
Yeah.
you think you even got here? We have to have traditional, promote the heterosexual normality. We have to promote that.
For the survival of the human race.
Survival of the human race. To sit up here and act as if, everybody's going to be gay. No, that's what they want. That's what the disgusting people want, because they want to tear up the family, be able to go after the kids that are here, and then do their own little things about getting our kids through what's that thing they're doing with the test tubes and kind of stuff, baby farming and things like that.
They're also hacking our fears and our instinctual nature, because by nature, human beings want family.
Yeah.
So it's another thing too. Like I was talking about, a lot of my friends were ostracized or afraid to tell their families that they were gay and they're leading these double lives. But then now they have to, the gay community becomes their family. Right. And they even feel like they have to adhere to this culture, much like, they're running the same game on blacks as gays, but much like, if you're a black person out there that's been told they're not black enough, I've had gay friends to be told they're not gay enough. They don't talk with a lisp. They don't, and I'm serious. I know these are like stereotypes, but they don't go to the club a lot. Like I had a friend who's like, I like football. And he got confronted and they're like, why don't you go to the club? He's like, but I don't like dancing. I like sports, but then it's like you're ostracized because you're not fitting into this mold that's been built for you.
Yeah.
And they make you think it's your own thing. And this is the gay community, and you have to cross dress, and you have to like dance music, and you have to be a certain way, and you have to dress a certain way, and you have to like certain things and certain celebrities. And if you don't like these things, you're ostracized. You don't have any family. So forget that family that ostracized you for being gay, but now the gay community is going to ostracize you for not being gay enough. Right. And then that's how they also control people. And I've heard a lot of people that, have moved or not necessarily, they don't even consider themselves partisan, but they don't want to be aligned with the leftist way of thinking anymore because it's gotten too out of hand. But I've heard a lot of gay people say that it's been easier now coming out being gay than it is even coming out as a conservative.
Oh, definitely.
Because it's like, it's sad too. It's like you already have this family that you've had to build because your biological family doesn't accept you, but now you have to get out, you have to get kicked out of this, lose your family again. And a lot of people are afraid to do that. So because of that too, a lot of people are afraid to speak out that are gay because they don't want to be isolated or alone or abused or ostracized again. It's like a double trauma.
Well, I think, and I look at that as I guess I'm just a different type of gay. I just, when it comes to these, because I understand this, I'm gonna go ahead and say this because this is the video. There is such thing as a gay community. What they have now is
How dare you?
Hey, there's no such thing as a gay community in that. Just like there's no black community. That's just bullshit. to lump everybody in as a group think. We all think alike, do alike, be alike. We all do the same thing and like the same thing. No, we don't. And people have to, gay people, and I hope anyone gay that's watching this have to, you know, you are a man, you're just a gay man, and be a strong man and understand that you don't have to conform to anyone. Be yourself. Ostracization from whom? Other gay people that wants to do stuff that you don't like. You're already ostracized. You're not going to go do that unless you're weak. You're going to go engage in something, go to a gay pride parade when you find that's repulsive what they're doing, because it doesn't even, I've been to one before and I saw it. I said, once you've been to one, you've been to them all. You don't have to see. I seen the biggest one ever when I went to New York back in '98 and saw that gay pride parade, and I sat there for all that. I think it was like 5 hours. I said, damn, this is a long parade. When is this thing gonna be over with? And
like, how many dicks would I see in one day?
but no, back then it wasn't as lewd as it is now. Now it's just
and people are bringing kids to that. Like, I didn't care. Like, like in LA, Halloween in Santa Monica is a big thing, and I really liked going for the costumes because people would come up with some amazing inventive costumes and stuff. But it was still very adult.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, I've went there and saw kids there. I was like, why would you bring your kids here to this? This is
and the people who do that, like I said, and that's like another thing. Is I look at this thing that you see with the kids with the drag queen story time and all that stuff, and the kids at the drag shows, and then you have the right, doing what they're programmed to do, to be outraged. I'm gonna, what you outraged for? If you're gonna be outraged at the parent that took them there. Be outraged at the bar owner that allowed that child in there, not that queen that's performing and doing her job. I said, if that queen came into that library to put on that makeup to come in there and sit down and read to them kids, that somebody paid her to come in there and do that shit to do her job. And she's gonna say, okay, you want me to read a book? Here, I'm getting my $300 for this. Hey, this is easy. I'm gonna go in and do it. What parent gonna sit there and allow their kid to do that? You get mad at that. See, people, they go at the low-hanging fruit. It's all the low-hanging fruit. You go at there's a reason why they're doing that, bringing drag queens into the school. Drag queens been around forever. They were around when I was in school, but I didn't know nothing about it. I didn't see my first drag queen until I went to a gay club, and it scared the hell out of me. Almost like how you at Disney. It's almost how you, when you go to Disney and you saw, we went to the Disney and you saw, as much as I like Fred Flintstone, when I saw that big old Fred Flintstone, I was scared because it was too big. It wasn't like it was on the TV. I love Fred Flintstone. I saw that, I said, oh no, I was scared. So when I'm in the club, I see this queen, this thing that looks like a woman walking by, but she's real tall and big. And I was like, ooh, I kind of got away because this is the gay club. I ain't, this is supposed to be men. I came here to see men, not women. And then moments later, we all get clear the dance floor, lights come up. Out comes the queen, and she's impersonating Tina Turner. I was a big fan of Tina Turner.
Oh, hell yeah.
She's
a goddess. I love Tina Turner too.
She looked just like Tina Turner, did every move just like her, looked just like I thought I was looking at Tina Turner. Then the next queen that came out there did Donna Summer. And looked just like Donna Summer. And I always thought Donna Summer was fine. And this, Donna Summer was tall. And she looked just like her. Even when she came off stage, I was scared to go to her, but I was enthralled looking at her. But I was scared to go close to her because it was just weird. So, but they didn't bring those as good as entertainers as they were not in the high schools. See, now they're bringing them to the high school.
Yeah. And even like elementary schools.
Yeah, they're bringing them in there. So you have to, now this is where we're at, back with this gay agenda and everything. Who's bringing them in there? This is not gay people doing that.
Yeah.
They're bringing this into the school for a reason. To sexualize, socially engineer, and also take advantage. Now, because I just found out recently that the gay community, LGBTQIA, element of P, XYZ, anything goes, everything can be a part of this club. The people who this club now has, I think, nerds. If you're a nerd, you are LGBTQ. Did you know that? Did you know that nerds?
Yeah. They're going after people that are very awkward.
Yeah, now you're
and
they're awkward people are now gay. You know, they're in the gay community.
And if we start predictive programming people, shaming people at a young age for not wanting to be, or for wanting to be straight, putting it in TV shows, subliminal messaging, then you're putting, and then, going back, you're putting shit in the water. Like the soy shit.
And they say, you could be non-binary.
All the hormone. Yeah. They're making it. And if you question, anybody, if you don't want that, then they try and make it, something wrong make it seem like there's something wrong with you. Kids by nature they're people pleasers. They don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Most kids are very sincere and sweet, and they care about people. So if you shame them and make them say, oh, well, if you're 5 years old and you don't want to have a boyfriend and you're a guy, or a girlfriend, if you're a girl, then, you're a terrible person. You're a terrible human being, then they're going to reconsider that. They might, experiment with that.
Yeah.
Think about it. And then you have all these TV shows. You have, what is that with the Zendaya, what is it called? Dystopia. Is it Dystopia?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I haven't watched it. I put it on to watch it, and I just never went into it. But I think I know what you're talking about. And so that has some LGBT stuff to it. Is that what it is?
But it's not just this. It's like
it's about
cartoons too. Like, and they're trying to make all the superheroes gay, like Superman's gay now.
They have a place to sell that new Superman bisexual DC comic book toy that was announced today.
That comes after a gay Aquaman, a bisexual boy wonder, Robin, and a gender fluid Loki. Call me when they have a gender stable aisle with superheroes whose sexualities we know nothing about. Why are they sexualizing superheroes?
Yeah,
I'm like, it's getting ridiculous. Like, there's this show that my boyfriend just showed me called because I was watching a lot of stuff to prepare for the show. Steven Universe.
No, I never heard of it.
So in 2012, she started developing Steven Universe, about a gender non-conforming boy who is friends with extraterrestrial non-binary beings, or gems. In season 1, viewers learn the two of those gems are in love. But revealing this relationship was a slow process, and each step was a struggle with the network. Rebecca says she received specific feedback from Cartoon Network that the two characters couldn't kiss.
And it all became very disturbing. And realizing that I was sort of getting these direct notes, like, this really made me realize that I had been receiving that message indirectly from all of the content that I had seen growing up, where LGBTQIA characters just aren't present. And they aren't present because they're being, blocked from existence, they're being systematically removed.
Their relationship was first hinted at in an episode called Jailbreak, which aired in March 2015, just as same-sex marriage was about to become legal in the US.
Even the audience members who were excited about it, or who liked it, would say things like, I can't believe you're getting these adult themes into your show. It was all treated as if it was very subversive. It's not that we snuck adult ideas into a children's show. I mean, children are flooded with heteronormative content all the time.
Most animated Disney films, like Sleeping Beauty, involve the love between a princess and a prince. Those scenes inspired Rebecca to create ones for queer audiences.
I wanted to experiment with some of these really classic visuals.
In 2015, Rebecca says, studio executives told her it was her choice to make Ruby and Sapphire LGBTQ. They warned her that some countries might pull the show and it could get canceled altogether. But the next year, Rebecca came out as bisexual at San Diego Comic-Con and began to speak more publicly about LGBTQ issues, both in the industry and in her work.
It's really hard to twist yourself into a different person to make art. It was hard for me to try and make heteronormative art. And that's part of the reason I ultimately realized that I could come out and I could speak about this, and that it was a part of who I am.
Coming out helped her speak more openly and advocate for her characters to be LGBTQ. And it paid off. In 2017, Steven Universe was nominated for the GLAAD Outstanding Comedy Series Award. And in 2019, it won in the Kids and Family category.
And then all of a sudden, it was the force of decades and decades of activism and advocacy were suddenly behind me.
The first gay proposal and wedding episode aired in the summer of 2018 and made kids' animation history.
I now pronounce you Garnet!
Yeah, it's very LGBT. I don't even fucking know. Like, I can't even count that high. Whatever it is now, it's very, it looks like it's pushing this shit on kids at a very young age. And this little boy, he's friends with these two women that merged into like this alien, and then there's like a couple other kids that are there's another lesbian couple on there, and the lady that created it is a lesbian, and they gave her a GLAAD award for it. And and then there's a compilation. I'll put the link in the bottom of it. There's a compilation of all these cartoons now that have gay characters for kids. And a while ago I'd be like, all right, I understand too, as an artist, I was a theater major and I pursued acting, I'm a musician, I'm a very creative person, that when you see these shows or maybe, you want to see someone that represents you, because I think in a certain way, if you're looking at certain TV shows and you don't see anybody that represents you, looks like you subliminally, it can make you feel less inferior. So
Really?
It didn't bother me for a while. Well, I'm just saying, right? As a kid, you're like, oh, you see somebody, and we're programmed this way though, right? Because we're programmed to think that, race matters and sexuality matters. But now I'm saying they've taken it too far. It's like too much.
Well, identity is now it's about identity and representation, and they have made that the thing. And see, it's going with that, but they swung that pendulum so far over there. Now it's coming back because people are seeing how ridiculous it is. Because you can't take something like that all the way over here and think we're going to operate in the Twilight Zone forever.
Are you feeling helpless in the face of globalist havoc? Do you feel powerless against their sadistic shenanigans? Well, don't despair, because Truth or Talk is here to equip you with the empowering information you need to regain control of your life. Our mission is to provide you with thought-provoking and humorous commentary on issues that matter the most. We have no sacred cow to defend, nor corporate doctrines to promote. Since 2012, Truth or Talk has produced over 100 podcasts featuring interviews with some of the biggest names in independent media, activism, and truth-seeking. Despite being deplatformed and shadow banned from several social media channels in 2022, we are committed to rebuilding. However, we need your support to help keep the truth flowing. You can show your appreciation by purchasing our t-shirts, making a donation, or becoming an ongoing subscriber to our exclusive member section. With your help, we can keep exposing lies, shedding light on the truth, and providing you with the compelling information you need to take back your freedom, sanity, and break free from the shackles of control. But that's not all. You can also help spread the word by sharing our content on social media with your friends and family. Our collective efforts can prevent them from achieving their goal. Show your support for Truth or Talk today and take back control of your life. Trust us, you won't regret it. Thank you. Until next time, peace, truth,